We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Thursday, March 27th. March Madness continues with the Sweet 16 today from Newark, New Jersey and San Francisco, California, as we have got four huge games. Brigham Young taking on Alabama, Maryland versus Florida, Arizona versus Duke, and Arkansas versus Texas Tech. We have got a best bet for every one of these games today, folks. And before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, we will have our NBA predictions out, 8 games tonight in the association. And also earlier today, we had our first ever MLB best bets video for opening day today. So make sure to go show some love to that video. Link in the description down below. Again, that will be daily going through the summer and beyond with Major League Baseball. And also on the other channel, Greedo Plays MMA, we have got our Moreno versus Urseg full card predictions. That is linked in the description down below. Go subscribe to Greedo Plays MMA. Subscribe to this channel as well as we get on to the first of our 4 games today. And we start things off at the Prudential Center in Newark between the Brigham Young Cougars and the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm taking Alabama to advance to the Elite Eight with a victory over Brigham Young. I get it, BYU's been really good in this tournament. They have. I will give them all the credit in the world. Igor Demin and the guys over there for BYU have been phenomenal, and I'll be honest, they've been playing better ball than I thought they were going to play this tournament as well. But the winner of this game will take on the winner of Duke and Arizona later tonight. I think it's going to be Bama. Bama played, 2 fairly close games. Don't get me wrong. They played Robert Morris very close. RMU was in that game deep. And then a game against St. Mary's were in the first half very competitive. Bama just found a way to get by St. Mary's in the end. But we talked about the stylistic challenge before of St. Mary's all year long. And it was just a tough game for Alabama. They win it by 14 points, but you know the defensive presence that the Gales bring. And honestly, not a bad win at all for Alabama, getting it obviously to the Elite Eight. This team is led by Mark Sears. You know that, obviously. Sears with, I think, 20 points in the victory over RMU. You get Sears, Nelson, Holloway. I mean, there are players on this Alabama squad. It's all going to come down, though, to the big shots from BYU in this game. If BYU is able to hit their three-pointers and able to hit all of their big-time shots, yeah, they probably will come out on top. But I do think Alabama is a better defensive team than both Wisconsin. I can't say they're better defensively than VCU, but they're better defensively than Wisconsin is. And I get it, Bama, they've seen games before there where teams have, scored. I mean, Auburn scored, 94 points in them. Florida, to eliminate them in the SEC tournament, scored 104. I get that. But at the same time, BYU, yes, they're a great shooting team, but the comp I'll make here is that Alabama has seen so many great shooting teams this year and so many great scoring teams. Yes, Brigham Young's really good, but guys, this Bama team's used to playing Florida, playing, Auburn. Tennessee sometimes will have their nights, but they're used to those squads. Missouri put 110 on them. I get that. BYU will be able to score, but at the same time, Alabama will probably match them shot for shot tonight. And I just don't think BYU is going to be able to get away from Alabama. I know, again, they've been playing tremendous offensive ball. I mean, putting 80 points on VCU is great. VCU is a really good defensive squad, and BYU put it on them. And then beating Wisconsin 91-89, BYU almost choked it at the end, obviously, but very good win for them. Richie Saunders led them in scoring in both games. Saunders with 25 in the Wisconsin victory and 16 in the VCU game. It all comes down to the shooting, and it all comes down to if Alabama can match them. I think they're going to, guys. I know Alabama can score. We've seen Alabama trade with really good teams this season. Hell, when they went to Auburn, go to overtime and win that game 93-91. I mean, this team can put up 100 points, and we talk about, again, how great Brigham Young is offensively. They put up 100 once all year long, and it was in a home spot against Florida A&M. I like the Rattlers out of the SWAC, but I mean, come on, right? And again, this game probably won't get in the 100s, but all I'm saying is that I know Alabama can score. All the hype around Brigham Young in this tournament right now is around their scoring and around their shooting, but it's nothing Alabama hasn't seen, and it's nothing Alabama cannot keep up with. Right, Igor Demin's been great in this tournament. Richie Saunders has been the guy, obviously, but Demin's just hit some really big shots. I think we're okay here with Alabama. I really think so. And on top of them just winning the game and moving on to the Elite Eight, I do think they cover the spread as well. 5.5 points on Bama. I think they can do it. Mark Sears, no one from Bama really played a great offensive game against St. Mary's, but honestly, that's just what the Gales are going to do to you. I mean, that's how good of a defensive team Mitchell Saxon and the guys are from St. Mary's. I mean, Sears had 12 points in that game, went 0 for 4 from beyond the arc, right? I don't think he's going to have another game like that. They've had time off. I think Alabama is the better basketball team. They've seen squads like BYU before. Sure, Brigham Young's going to hit shots, but Alabama's going to be coming right back as well. Hey, scoring 80 points against St. Mary's, just as we complimented BYU for scoring 80 plus against VCU, scoring 80 against the Gales of St. Mary's is impressive in its own right as well. I'm taking the Alabama Crimson Tide to beat Brigham Young. I don't want to say there's levels to this because I don't think this is a levels game. I'm taking Alabama. There's so many teams that play like BYU in the SEC, and Alabama should be good enough to win this game and move on to the Elite Eight. Bama minus 5.5. We go on to our second best bet of the video, and we go to San Francisco, California, as the Florida Gators take on the Maryland Terrapins. Give me the Crab 5. I'm going with Maryland. I'm going Maryland outright. Now, the best bet on this game, and the one that I'll probably sprinkle on the money line, but I think the best play here, obviously, is plus 6.5. We'll take the points that we're getting. I don't mind Maryland to outright win the game. I think they're going to, personally. But obviously, I feel more confident in the points for the Terrapins. Guys, this team's looked good. They really have. I really think highly of the GCU victory. Grand Canyon was a great team all year long, out the whack, and Maryland beat them by 30-plus points. I get it, it's GCU and they weren't what they were last year, obviously, but that's a good victory. And in the Colorado State game, they're trailing for most of that first half against Colorado State, and the rest of that game just became, how can Maryland get back into it? They were down by 10 at one point in the second half. They closed the gap. Neat Clifford hit some big shots. Jalen Lake hit some big shots for Colorado State, but in the end, down by 1. Derek Queen with the big finish at the rim to win the game at the buzzer for the Terrapins to put them in the spot. I get it, Florida can score. At the same time, Maryland plays some really good defense. They do. And again, they go complete playoff rotation. You are going to see 6 guys play tonight for the Maryland Terrapins. It's their 5 starters, and then they're going to bring in they might just go, honestly, no. Geronimo played 10 minutes off the bench. No, they're probably just going to go straight 5, aren't they? They had one of their bench guys play 10 minutes against Colorado State. Now, I'd expect, honestly, Reese, Queen, Gillespie, Rice, Sultan, Miguel all might play 40 minutes tonight. I'm not joking. Because that's the type of effort they're going to need if they're going to beat Florida. We know how great Florida is offensively. Walter Clayton, through the first 2 games of this tournament, has looked like probably the best player in the tournament. Now, the Florida game against UConn was a little too close for liking, and that's why I'm ultimately taking Maryland, because I think Maryland is going to be able to shut down Florida to a higher extent than what UConn did, right? Hey, the Huskies played a very competitive game against the number 1 overall team right now in the country, right? That's a competitive game. UConn only lost by 2 points. Now, Dan Hurley had his piece to say about that game. It is what it is. But if you're talking about Walter Clayton, right, the guy's been phenomenal in this tournament so far. 23 points in the Norfolk State victory, 23 points in the victory over the Huskies. The guy's a walking bucket. He's going to give you 20 points every single night. When you go beyond Walter Clayton, obviously there are players for this team as well. You talk about Will Richard, Elijah Martin. These guys can all hoop. Alex Condon, not always going to put up the most shots, but, he can score as well. Somewhat of a liability recently offensively, not going to lie. I like Maryland a lot in this spot. I think they're able to play solid defense here against Florida. I said this at the beginning of the tournament, and when I made my original bracket, I had this matchup in the Sweet 16. I think a lot of people likely did. I had Maryland, after beating Colorado State, they were going to go and beat Florida. I don't think Florida is going to put together a long run in the SEC tournament and now a long run in the NCAA tournament. I think Maryland will get them. I like the defensive presence. And this Maryland team, man, they hit big shots. They shoot a lot of 3-pointers. They shoot at a high rate, or a high clip from the 3-point range. All their starters can shoot. Julian Reese, but Queen can shoot threes. Gillespie will hit him. Miguel will hit him, and Rodney Rice. All these guys will shoot. And I'm serious. Their starters are all going to play over 35 minutes. That's what happened in the Colorado State game. I think they're able to play solid enough defense against Florida. I know Walter Clayton's great. I know the surrounding pieces around Walter Clayton, like Richard and Elijah Martin, they are phenomenal as well. But UConn played this team real tight, and I think Maryland is much better than UConn. I think they're better offensively. Yes, I think they are, and I think they're better defensively as well. Sure, again, Maryland is missing a guy like Liam McNeely, but again, Maryland is just a really solid 5-man core with their starting lineup. Give me the Crab 5, the Maryland Terrapins to win the game outright, but the official best bet is the spread for the Terrapins. They've been playing phenomenal basketball, and even in their losses down the stretch in Big Ten play, obviously this was a big talking point for them. They were all buzzer beater losses, so they always play teams tight. Again, for the bracket, we're hoping they win, but for the best bet tonight, yeah, we're taking plus 6.5 on Maryland. They just got to continue to play, competitive basketball like they've been doing all year long, and I expect that to be the case tonight against the Florida Gators in San Francisco. Give me Maryland on the points plus 6.5. It is worth the sprinkle with the money line, but the best bet in the official play here is Maryland plus 6.5. Let's return to Newark, New Jersey for Duke versus Arizona. It is the 1 versus 4 here in the East region. The winner of this game takes on the winner of Brigham Young in Alabama, which we think is going to be the Crimson Tide. I'm taking Duke to win the basketball game, but my best play here is the points for Arizona. Now, I'll just say it outright. I didn't think Arizona was going to be in this spot, okay? I'm not afraid to say it. It's a bad take now. I thought Arizona was going to lose to the Akron Zips in the first round. Okay, yeah, they didn't, obviously. From there, I thought they were going to beat Oregon, and that's exactly what happened. So here we go. They're against Duke. I don't think they're going to beat Duke. I don't think a lot of people are thinking they're going to beat Duke. I just feel like 9.5 is too many points that Arizona's getting. I understand Duke has ran through teams, just not just in this tournament, but in the ACC. Oh, they were playing somewhat competitive ball in the ACC tourney. The North Carolina game stands out, but they've been playing phenomenal basketball all year long. And as they got in this tournament, obviously, back-to-back games, Mount St. Mary's, did anyone expect the Mount to be competitive? No. They beat them 93-49. Shout out to Dola Adebayo and the guys, though. And then a 89-66 victory over the Baylor Bears, right? Tyrese Proctor with 25. And we know Duke has got so many weapons offensively. This is a loaded team. They're the best, talent-wise, probably the best team in college basketball. The number 1 overall pick this upcoming draft, Cooper Flagg. Tyrese Proctor and company. I mean, there's just Isaiah Evans. There's so many great players on this team, and great future NBA players is what I'm getting to here on this squad as well. I think Arizona is able to keep this game close. I don't know how well defensively they're going to be able to play against Duke, because Duke can score. Cooper Flagg is just, he's a 5-tool player. He does it everywhere. I understand that. I think Arizona, if Caleb Love's playing his best basketball game, I do think Arizona is very competitive tonight. And if there was ever a game, and I know we talk about the Caleb Love experience all the time. Sometimes he looks like the best player in college basketball. Sometimes he looks extremely mediocre. We go through that all the time with Arizona, and that's what kind of pushed me away from consistently taking the Wildcats. If there's ever a game Caleb Love is going to show up in, it will be this one. Former North Carolina guy, he still hates Duke. Hell, you saw it in the post-game interview that he gave after the Oregon game. Stopped himself from saying something he probably shouldn't have said on TV. He did. This game means something to him. You absolutely know it. And if there was ever a game we can rely on Caleb Love playing his last college basketball game potentially to come through in, it will be this one against Duke. This game just means something else for him. Obviously, win or go home. You lose this game, you're done. Your season's over. His collegiate career's over. But I do think it's more than that for Caleb Love. I think Arizona's going to rally around him. And I do think Arizona does have a really good offensive night. I mean, in back-to-back games in this tournament, 93 points against the Akron Zips, 87 against the Oregon Ducks. Finally got rid of Oregon and Nate Biddle. It is what it is. They are trailing early. They come back and win that game. It's all the focus is on Caleb Love, but there is Jaden Bradley. There is KJ Lewis. The guard play on this team is really solid. I do kind of, you got Toby underneath. I'm a little concerned about the big play, but I think we'll be all right with Arizona here. And we're not even picking them to win. I don't think they're going to win this basketball game. As much as I'd like to see it, I hope Arizona beats Duke. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to take Arizona on the points plus 9.5. I expect Duke to win this game by about 5 points. Still, that's a cover for us here with Arizona. They've been a high-scoring team all tournament. Yes, I know Duke plays tremendous defense as well. They do everything great. I understand. But I do think Arizona's going to be able to find their shots. I think Caleb Love's going to have a big night, and I expect the Arizona Wildcats to cover the 9.5 points. Sending Duke now to the Elite Eight where they take on Alabama should be a good one. But, I mean, we got to come to this, we got to have this conversation eventually. I mean, who is going to stop Duke at this point? I mean, Alabama, I think, has a decent shot at doing so, but I'll be honest, I would probably pick Duke on this spread. I don't know what the spread's going to be. I'd imagine like 4.5. I'd expect Duke to cover that line against Alabama. Full transparency. If they're playing BYU, probably be like 9.5, 10.5. I mean, who stops this team? You look at the Midwest region, who they play in the Final Four. Houston. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think Duke's losing to the championship game. And that's why originally we had Duke losing in the championship game itself. I think there's some very good teams on the other side of the bracket. Hell, I think the winner of the Maryland-Florida game, I think, is going to the national championship game. I'll just be honest. But there's some really good teams on the other side of the bracket, and I think no one on this side in the Midwest and in the East, I don't think can take down the Duke Blue Devils just yet. We'll see. But for now, give me Duke to move on to the Elite Eight to take on Alabama. As we go to our final game of the day, we finish obviously in San Francisco, California, as we have got the Arkansas Razorbacks taking on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Arkansas coming off their huge victory over St. John's. This was supposed to be the Johnnies right here, but yeah, St. John's decided they could not hit a three-pointer. At the same time, Arkansas couldn't hit a three-point either in that basketball game. Ultimately, though, the Razorbacks won the basketball game. Good for them. Good for them. They were 7.5-point dogs. That game got taken over by the referees. I'm not going to lie to you. And sure, did it help St. John's more than it helped Arkansas? Yeah, definitely it did. Now, they shot almost the same amount of free throws, but St. John's, they were not seeing their shots fall in. They were getting some somewhat favorable calls. Not to say that Arkansas wasn't at the same time. I mean, a lot of guys in Arkansas were in foul trouble. Ivisic fouls out, 3 minutes into the second half. John L. Davis had 4 fouls. Adu had 4 fouls. Brazil had 3 fouls. And Boogie Flan had 4 as well. So, I mean, all their guys were in foul trouble at the same time, right? Kadari Richmond fouls out for St. John's. Welcher was in foul trouble the entire night. Zuby was in big trouble foul-wise as well. So, I mean, that's not really, that's not the reason why St. John's, lost, or that's not the reason why the game was, well, okay. I need to rephrase this. It didn't necessarily help St. John's. It did, but it didn't at the same time. Arkansas outplayed them. Arkansas hit the big shots in big moments. These two teams went a combined 4 for 40 from the three-point line, which is absolutely atrocious. Arkansas goes 2 for 41. Arkansas goes 2 for 19. St. John's goes 2 for 22. I like what Arkansas is doing right now, though, man. This 8-man rotation is really solid. I assume Boogie Flan's still going to be on the bench. And Boogie Flan not playing his best ball, but obviously still coming back from that injury that he suffered in February, January-ish. He's playing 20 minutes off the bench. I know he went 1 for 5 from the three-point shot last game, but I don't think that's going to continue to go that way. It's just the 8 guys that Arkansas and Cal's got on the court, Calipari's got on the court, they're really good. I mean, Carter Knox gave him 15 points, got to the line 11 times. Trevion Brazil's been here for a while. Jonas Adu plays big minutes. John L. Davis, facilitates a lot and takes their big mid-range shots. G.J. Wagner can hoop. Ivisa coming off the bench. Billy Richmond, Boogie Flan. I mean, that's a solid 8-man core, and you got to be solid to beat St. John's, obviously. Now, you look at Texas Tech, right? This team, they've been very competitive in their 2 games in the tournament. They won them both by 10 points, but those games were closer than the score appears. Drake and UNC Wilmington, they won both those games. They beat the Seahawks by 10. They beat the Bulldogs by 13. This is a Texas Tech team that they were good in the regular season. They just had a lot of games where they came out flat and just couldn't get going. The Texas Christian game is the primary example from that when they went to Fort Worth and lost the Horned Frogs. They're a much better home team than they were on the road, and you can't talk about Texas Tech basketball without talking about JT Toppin. Toppin's been the guy all year long for the Red Raiders, averaging 18 points a game. Darian Williams averaging 15, Chance McMillan averaging 14, and Christian Anderson also in double figures, averaging 11 points a night. Texas Tech is good. I just think Arkansas is able to win this game outright. Okay, best bet again, like we're talking about earlier with the Maryland-Florida game, is Arkansas on the points, plus 5.5. But we are taking 2 underdogs in San Francisco tonight. I think Arkansas is able to cover this line. I think it's going to be an extremely close game, and I really like what Arkansas is doing with their rotation. All 8 of those guys can hoop. Ivisic only played 10 minutes in their last game, but that was because he was in foul trouble all night long, and he got 5 fouls within the first couple minutes of the second half. I really think the Boogie Flan addition or re-entry into their rotation is huge. They were playing without him for the tail end of the year. And yeah, Arkansas's record is not the most impressive. They were a 22-13 team in the regular season. Yeah, that sucks. I understand. They were really bad down the stretch. They lost a key game out at South Carolina where they got blown out by Colin Murray Boyles and the Gamecocks. But they are a deep squad and they are playing their best basketball at the exact right time. Texas Tech really plays a 6-man rotation. Kevin Overton's the only guy coming off the bench for this team, right? I mean, you get their stars, JT Toppin, Darian Williams. I mean, in the Drake game, Toppin puts up 25, Williams puts up 28, and then Elijah Hawkins puts up 16. The rest of the team combined has less than 10 points. I mean, those are really going to be your 3 scorers for the squad. I just think Arkansas, I don't know. I think they are better, and I think they're deeper too. I trust what Arkansas has 1 through 8 more than Texas Tech. I'd like JT Toppin, I like Darian Williams, but full team, I like Arkansas better. They are not reliant on one guy. Sure, they were somewhat reliant a little bit around Boogie Fland early in the year, but with Fland's injury and him now being on the bench and coming off the bench, it has helped them, I think, because it gives them another threat, and their starting five is pretty solid. So give me Arkansas. There's not one star on this team, but everyone can get it done. I'm taking the Razorbacks here at the Chase Center in San Francisco. The best bet for this is plus 5.5 for the Hogs. But I don't think the money line is too bad as well in the sprinkle, just like the Maryland game earlier. But give me Arkansas plus 5.5 here for our best bet. So folks, thank you all for watching our 5 best bets for college basketball here on March 27th. If you haven't yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets with the Sweet 16. So make sure to join us for that. Folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba forever.